Beneath the promise of eternity, stone and flesh grind each other to dust.
No gods hold these walls, only bodies that can...
Those who command believe. They can whip fear into becoming loyalty.
One mistake on this ramp can bury hundreds who never had a name.
Where others will see greatness, they leave us to remember the taste of blood on stone.
In the chaos, those who pull each other from death begin to imagine another fate. Even those who speak for the gods can hear when the foundations of power begin to crack. This is the monument the world will call eternal. They are not told they are walking toward their own tomb, only that the king requires their hands. Among the terrified stares, a few eyes still measure distances and count the number of whips.
They are given shelter and food like tools are given oil, not as kindness, but as maintenance.
A back built for lifting and hands built for carving both find themselves drafted into the same impossible design. Before anyone can dream of freedom, they must first learn the weakness of the rope. On the first day of work, the sun begins counting who will endure and who will vanish into the schedule.
To him they are not people, only fuel to be burned faster if the king demands a brighter flame.
This is not a building so much as a sentence, an impossible shape forced onto flesh and time. The priest speaks for eternal order, and the overseer for immediate pain, and together they calculate how many lives the foundation can swallow. No one asks what they want to be, only what they can lift before they break.
In his palm, this beam is both a tool to raise the monument and a lever waiting for the right moment to unmake it.
The pyramid does not rise one stone at a time, but one scream at a time.
Every step they force from their broken feet is a silent promise. Just one more, then one more still.
Here, pain is less a punishment than a way to remind them that their bodies belong to the stone.
In a place built on obedience, one hand that reaches out is already a rebellion.
Their sweat vanishes faster than their names, but both sink deep into the monument.
Some break softer stone and call it a skill, but the cruelty their work glorifies is just as hard.
The gods on the wall never look down, never see the backs that bent to lift them. The man who dreams of eternity rarely glances at the bodies that raise him above the dust. He is at war with time itself, and he has decided their lives are a reasonable weapon. When gods are drafted to justify cruelty, even prayer becomes just another sound lost in the ceremony. The priest declares that stone must be awakened with blood, turning sacrifice into architecture. When the last knock stops, the wall grows higher, and his belief that obedience can save him grows thinner. Watching a wall filled with the living hardens something in them that no whip can touch. When the whips finally rest, the night brings not peace, but thoughts too loud to ignore.
By day they pull stone. By night they pull together fragments of memory into a map of the thing that is crushing them.
This is where it will break. Every structure has a place where it can no longer pretend to be invincible. Some fear dying in the walls. Others fear dying without ever pushing back. They will remember my name. He begins to imagine not just surviving the monument, but making it remember him. On ground claimed by gods, even secrets eventually find their way toward the altar. The most dangerous plan is the one that leaves the surface untouched. In the language carved for kings and gods, he sneaks in a few letters that belong only to the condemned. Each step becomes a number, each pillar a possibility, as he turns the ramp into more than just a hill to die on. She carries more than water. She carries words from mouth to mouth, almost too quietly to notice. Full moon, eastern corridor.
Rebellion does not arrive with a shout, but with a sentence repeated until fear starts listening.
A plan is always weakest, where terror still outweighs desperation.
He knows every blessing hides a price, and every layer of stone covers a layer of unpaid debt.
He stands between gods and men, wondering whether the balance is worth keeping as it is. Together they plan a celebration where the final stone and the final breaths will fall into place at the same time.
She is no warrior, but she understands the value of one doorway that is not yet closed.
They gather in a place that is still air and will soon be stone, trading fear for something sharper. He does not promise victory, only a chance to make the pyramid feel the weight it has put on them.
These hands have carved faces for gods. Now they search for the face of collapse.
I can't. I'm afraid.
Not everyone wants to burn the world that burns them. Some still cling to the idea of simply slipping away. Between watchful steel and whispered plans lies only a thin layer of cloth and courage. He hears a new rhythm beneath the chants and hammer blows, the sound of fault lines forming inside the stone. He knows that not every sacrifice is decreed from above. Some rise from below, demanding to be counted. They scatter their risk across corridors and shifts, trusting a fragile web to hold until the right moment. Above them, the monument sleeps, unaware that its own bones are being loosened from within. This is the day the king believes he will nail his name into the sky. For him, this is not the day of the king's triumph, but the day their small fracture might be felt. The same skill that keeps people alive now teaches the structure how to forget standing. He reads vibrations like others read scrolls, knowing where a whisper could become a shout. All the men who believe they hold power gather in one place, high above those who gave it to them. In a single glance, he sees cracks in both stone and obedience, and chooses, for now, not to name them. With one word, he turns fear and exhaustion into motion once more. He gives the stone just enough of his strength, saving the rest for a different kind of effort. She delivers the smallest of signals, the kind the gods might overlook, but fate does not. This last stone is heavier with meaning than with mass. Often the first thing to break is the smallest piece, the one no one bothers to honor. A staged mistake looks identical to a real one until it is too late to correct. Stone obeys gravity, not commands, once it has chosen a direction. For the first time, the king sees death rolling toward him without anyone else standing in front. The man who thought he controlled fear now feels it tightening around his own throat. The pyramid begins to devour the very frame that helped raise it. Deep within, the places they marked now reply with their own language of breaking. To live, they must keep choosing each other over the instinct to run alone. Every uprising writes the names of those it cannot carry with it.
He stands at the edge between survival and loyalty, knowing whichever he chooses will haunt him.
For a moment, their strength is not spent pulling stone up, but pushing it away from one of their own.
When the frame of fear shakes, rank and title blur under the same dust.
Sometimes the greatest intervention is the decision to let events speak for themselves. The man who challenged time is forced to retreat, his monument no longer an obedient servant. The pyramid survives, but it will never again match the perfect shape in the king's imagination. They have not toppled the monument, but they have proven that it can bleed. Below their feet lie layers of older sacrifices, so deep even the priests no longer remember the names.
She sees only a few scars and
Asks if it was worth it.
Time drapes its veil over collapsed beams and broken bones, leaving behind only the outline that the world will admire.